reaction to Russia's latest action? Do you think underground testing could be dangerous, cause earthquakes? You're a controversial figure. Some Americans call you anti-American. Do you care to comment, sir? Mr. Khrushchev today rejected the Anglo-American appeal to halt nuclear testing in the atmosphere. What should the United States and the Western powers do now? Can the Russians be trusted? Finito. Rejected the Anglo-American appeal to halt nuclear testing in the atmosphere. What do you think the West should do now?
Well, I think that we should urge Premier Khrushchev to enter into really serious discussions with the United States and Great Britain and other countries, leading to general and complete disarmament, about making international agreements that lead to general and complete disarmament. And I think we ought to try to get the bomb test stopped, too, by international agreement. This means that France would have to agree to stop as well, because the Russians continue to mention the French test.
You really think, then, the Russians can be trusted?
Yes, I think that they can be trusted to behave on the basis of their self-interest. And you see, just as we can be trusted to behave if we understand the problems on the basis of our self-interest. To eliminate war and achieve disarmament and peace would be to the advantage of the USSR and the United States and all other nations, and the Russian people and the American people and all other people. And this would be a great advantage that would continue for all time. If then we are to succeed in making international agreements that involve enough security in the way of international controls and inspection to satisfy both us and the Russians, then I think we can trust the Russians.
But now many people are saying we can't trust the Russians because, look, they say, they've broken the pact that we had with them as far as nuclear testing is concerned.
No, you know, both the United States and the USSR announced about a year ago that they were no longer bound by this pact. The USSR said that France had started up weapons tests, and since she had said that she would not initiate tests until some Western country began testing, now that France had initiated tests, she would be free to initiate tests at any time. The United States also announced that we were free to initiate tests at any time, whether Russia started testing or not, and Congress appropriated money to dig holes out in Nevada to carry out underground tests. It's been an open, well, it's no secret at all. that many people in our...
You care to comment?
Well, you know, I love this great country where I was born. I suppose I have greater love for Oregon, the state in which I was born, and for California, where I've lived for 39 years now, than I have for Pennsylvania, but I love the whole of the United States. And I don't want to see this beautiful country that we live in destroyed. I like the American people, and I don't want to see all of the American people killed in a great nuclear war. I have a strong feeling for morality. I don't want to see people in any country in the world killed in a great nuclear war. I think that war is immoral. And I would ask, who is the more patriotic American? The man who is working to prevent the destruction of the United States and the death of the American people, or the man who is working to build up the stockpiles of nuclear weapons, which, if they continue to exist, will inevitably lead to the catastrophic war that will mean the end of the United States of America.
Well, what will keep us from going up in flames?
Well, I believe in the rationality and good sense of human beings. I think that we have a fine national leader in the White House, in President Kennedy. I'm hoping that I'll approve of his actions in the future to a somewhat greater extent than I have of some of his recent ones. I think that the USSR is fortunate in having such an able man as Premier Khrushchev there. I believe that these men have far too much good sense to take any actions that will lead to the mutual destruction of their two countries. What I am afraid of is that circumstances will develop in such a way that the situation gets out from under their control, or that some terrible accident, psychological or technological, will happen that will initiate the war, and that nobody will be able to prevent it so long as these weapons exist.
But many Americans feel that Khrushchev cannot be trusted, that he has this obsession or dream that communism will one day rule the world.
The impression that I have is...
Russia's decision to scrap the nuclear weapons test ban.
Well, I was greatly shocked by this. In my public statement, I described it as a militaristic move. It is sure to lead to a very grave danger to the world. It is sure to lead to a resumption of the nuclear arms race for some time. I feel that we have to reduplicate our efforts, intensify our efforts to achieve peace and disarmament through international agreements.
How do you view the United States government's reaction to the Kremlin's recent action?
Well, I am somewhat disappointed, but I think that the reaction in general was about what would be expected. I had hoped that, since we are far ahead of Russia in nuclear bomb technology, having carried out 3 times as many bomb tests, President Kennedy would decide on the basis of morality to refrain from ordering the initiation of our bomb tests for, say, another year. I don't believe that our military position would be weakened thereby, because we have bombs enough to destroy the whole of Russia and kill all the Russian people anyway. But of course, he did not make this decision. This was a disappointment to me.
How do you view the U.S. decision to test underground?
This is, of course, fine, because it means that there will not be any or not very much radioactive material released into the atmosphere as worldwide fallout. The Russian bomb tests are releasing this material, which is going to damage people all over the world and damage unborn children. However, it is probably impossible to carry out the tests of great bombs underground. I think that it may be that even at a depth of 5 miles, which couldn't be reached, these great bombs of 50 or 100 megatons would blow out into radioactive materials. In considerable parts would be liberated into the atmosphere.
Doctor, is there any danger in underground testing? Could it trigger an earthquake, a shift in the ground?
doubt that an underground test would trigger an